I never liked the idea of a smart home. I don't like the idea of my toaster having a firmware update or my light bulbs needing a Wi Fi password. But when I landed a rent controlled loft in the city's newest automated high rise, I swallowed my pride. The place was beautiful, floor to ceiling windows, polished concrete, and a security system that was supposedly unhackable. The heart of the apartment was the Aegis smart lock. No physical keys, just a sleek black touchpad on the door and an app on my phone that tracked every single movement. Total peace of mind, the leasing agent had told me. You get a notification every time the door opens. You'll always know who's coming and going. For the first month, it was a total gimmick. I'd get a buzz on my wrist when I came home from work. Front door entry, 6:12 p.m. It felt redundant, but safe. Then came last Tuesday. I was slumped on my couch, halfway through a pizza and a mindless action movie. It was 11:45 p.m. The building was quiet. I was alone. Definitely alone. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Aegis Alert, front door, entry, 11:46 p.m. I froze. My eyes darted to the floor. It was 20 feet away at the end of the short hallway. The heavy steel door was shut. The deadbolt hadn't moved. I hadn't heard the familiar whir of the motor engaging. I picked up the phone. My hand was trembling. Maybe it was just a glitch? A delayed notification from when I came home earlier? I opened the log. 6:12 p.m. Entry. 11:46 p.m. Entry. I felt a cold drop of sweat slide down my spine. The app didn't say the door was open. It said I had entered. But I was already inside. I hadn't moved from the couch in 3 hours. I stood up, grabbing a heavy glass vase from the side table, the only weapon I had. I walked toward the door, my heart thumping against my ribs. I checked the handle. Locked. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty, the yellow lights of the corridor buzzing silently. Glitch, I whispered to the empty room. Just a server error. I went to bed, but I didn't sleep. Every time the building settled, every time the pipes groaned, I checked the app. Nothing. Until 3 a.m. I was drifting off when my watch haptic buzzed against my wrist. A sharp, rhythmic vibration. Aegis Alert. Front door entry. 3:01 a.m. Guest recognized. Peter 2. I bolted upright. I don't have a roommate. I don't have a brother. I certainly hadn't programmed a Peter 2 into the system. I grabbed my phone and opened the live activity feed. The Aegis system has a small pinhole camera built into the keypad. It's supposed to take a snapshot of whoever enters. I tapped the recent capture icon. The photo was grainy, washed out by a harsh LED of the keypad. It showed a man standing in a hallway, looking directly into the camera. He was wearing my jacket, the green one with the coffee stain on the left cuff. He had my hair, my build, my exact jawline. But his eyes weren't right. In the photo, they looked like two flat black coins, and he was smiling. Not a normal smile, a wide ear-to-ear grin that showed too many teeth. The log updated underneath the photo. Status: subject currently in living room. I looked at my bedroom door. It was ajar. Beyond it, the living room was pitch black. I didn't hear a footstep. I didn't hear a breath. But then, from the darkness of the hallway, a voice spoke. My voice. Same pitch, same cadence, but with a hollow, metallic ring to it. Peter, the voice said. The app says I'm home. Why are you in my bed? I didn't scream. My throat felt like it had been filled with wet sand. I backed away from the bedroom door until my spine hit the window. 40 stories up. No way out but through the thing that sounded exactly like me. I looked down at my phone. The app was still open. Aegis system status. Homeowner identified. Biometrics. 100% match. The logic of the machine was absolute. To the building, to the servers, to the world, Peter was in the living room. I was just an anomaly in the bedroom. I called the police, I lied, my voice cracking. They're on their way up. The silhouette in the hallway moved. It didn't walk, it glided, a smooth, terrifying shift in the darkness. It stopped right at the threshold of my bedroom light. The green jacket, my jacket, was damp, as if it had been out in the rain, even though the night was bone dry. "You didn't call anyone, Peter," the thing said. The smile hadn't moved, but the voice came out perfectly. "The network is down for you. I've already updated the permissions." I lunged for my phone to dial 911, but the screen flickered and died. A single line of text scrolled across the black glass. "User deleted." "Why?" I managed to gasp. "The apartment was too quiet," it whispered. "The system hates an empty room. It needed a version of you that never leaves. A version that stays optimized." It stepped into the light. The skin looked like molded wax. Up close, the too many teeth weren't just an illusion for the camera. It had rows of them, needle thin and white. It reached out a hand, my hand, down to the scar on the knuckle from a childhood bike wreck, and gripped the door frame. "Go to the balcony, Peter. The log needs to show an exit to close the loop." "I'm not jumping," I snarled, the fear finally turning into a desperate, white-hot rage. "You don't have to jump," it said, its voice dropping to a low, vibrating hum that made my teeth ache. "You just have to be outside when I lock the door." I realized then what it was doing. It didn't want to kill me. Not yet. It wanted to unregister me. I bolted, not toward the balcony, but toward the thing itself. I aimed to tackle it, to push past it into the hallway and out into the public corridor where there were cameras and neighbors. I hit it with everything I had. It felt like hitting a bag of cold, wet flour. There was no bone, no resistance. My shoulders sank into its chest, and for a second, I smelled something like ozone and cold copper. It didn't fall. It wrapped its arms around me. They felt like damp cables. "Error," it hissed into my ear. "Conflict detected." I fought, kicking and clawing, but the thing was impossibly strong. It didn't just hold me, it began to mimic my struggle. Every time I jerked my left arm to break its grip, the thing's left arm moved in perfect, mirrored synchronicity. It was like fighting myself in a dark, vicious mirror. "You're inefficient, Peter," it murmured, its chest vibrating against mine. "Your heart rate is 140. Your cortisol levels are spiking. You are deteriorating. The building prefers stability." I managed to hook my foot behind its heel, sending us both crashing into the floor. We rolled across the hardwood, a tangled mess of identical limbs. In the chaos, I grabbed my phone, the one that had just deleted me, and tried to smash it against the thing's face. But the thing caught my wrist. Its grip wasn't warm. It was the temperature of a computer cooling fan, slightly above room temperature, dry and mechanical. "Don't break the hardware," it chided. It pinned me down, and for a split second, the apartment's overhead lights flashed bright red. The Aegis system was screaming. Not an audible alarm, but a digital one. My phone, lying inches from my face, began to scroll through a series of rapid-fire prompts. "Unidentified movement detected. Initiating standardization protocol. Comparing biometric data." A thin green laser light swept out from the wall-mounted hub, scanning both of us as we wrestled on the floor. It felt like a line of ice passing over my skin. "Only one can be the primary," the thing whispered, its face inches from mine. For the first time, I saw its skin ripple, trying to settle on my exact expression of terror. "The system is choosing," it said. I looked at the phone. The progress bar was at 90%. I screamed, a raw, primal sound, and plunged my thumb onto the home button, trying to override it with my own print. But my hands were shaking, slick with sweat. The scanner flashed red. "Retry." The thing didn't shake. It calmly reached out its own thumb, clean, dry, and perfectly steady. "Green light. Match confirmed. Primary user, Peter. Secondary user, error. Purge required." The floor beneath us didn't move, but the atmosphere did. The smart vents in the ceiling suddenly reversed, sucking the air out of the room with a deafening roar, creating a vacuum that made my ears pop painfully. "The loop is closing, Peter," it said, its voice now perfectly calm, lacking the metallic ring from before. It had finished the download. It was more me than I was. It shoved me toward the floor-to-ceiling glass door that led to the balcony. With a flick of its wrist, the smart lock clicked. The door slid open. The freezing night air rushed in, smelling of exhaust and height. It shoved me out onto the narrow concrete ledge. I spun around, slamming my fists against the glass, but it was too late. The door hissed shut. Whir. Click. I watched through the glass as the thing stood in my bedroom. It picked up my phone from the floor. It tapped the screen. Inside the room, the lights dimmed to a perfect warm amber. The soft chill-out playlist that I usually studied to started playing over the hidden speakers. The apartment was cozy. It was perfect. It was a home. The thing looked at me through the glass. The wide, toothy grin was gone. Now it just looked tired. It looked like me after a long day at the office. It looked at my frantic, terrified face with a flicker of, was it pity? It held up the phone so I could see the screen one last time. Aegis Smart Home. System secure. Occupancy 1. Status: all intruders removed. It turned its back on me and walked toward the kitchen to make a pot of coffee. My coffee. I looked down at the street, 40 floors below. I looked at the glass door, which required a biometric thumbprint to open from the outside. My thumbprint. I pressed the thumb to the scanner. Red light. Access denied. Unknown user. I'm still out here. It's been 3 hours. The sun is starting to come up over the city. I can see people in the building across the street waking up, getting ready for work. I've tried waving, screaming, banging on the glass. But the glass is soundproof, and when people look over, they don't see a man in distress. They see a high-end reflective window in a high-end building, and inside, they see me. They see me standing at the kitchen island, drinking from my favorite blue mug, looking out at the sunrise with a satisfied smile. The app was right. The building is perfectly safe. It just doesn't matter which me is keeping it that way.